One, two. Here we go. It's my time to rise. It's my time to shine. It's my time to live. It's my time to find my time. My time. I can feel it kind of come now.
Well, hello, hello, hello. I am Linda Hembry coming to you this afternoon to present to you our free webinar, How I Won $10 million in grant funds for nonprofits just like yours. Get funded for your first mega grant. I'm so happy you were able to join the webinar today, and I hope that you will be able to leave this webinar knowing exactly what it takes to receive a mega grant or a grant over $50,000 and know how to keep it. So let's jump right into it. So today we are going to be talking about how I won $10 million in grant funds. So next, what I want to do today is we want to make sure that we mute our lines so that anyone else on the line is able to hear clearly what is being presented today. If you have any questions, you can use the call-out box in your right there in the legend that shows the chat. You hover over it, you can see the chat box. Today, the webinar is being recorded, so I will send it to you by email so that you can get all of the information that was captured that you may have missed. Number 4 is you'll get a 20-minute bonus session, pre or post grant review for your mega grant that you're planning on submitting, hopefully after this grant. Today's agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about the myths about grant writing or just grants in general. And then number 2, we're going to go over the mega grant versus regular grants, and we'll do a little bit of case studies and resources. Okay? So let's get right into it. So grant writing can be a little bit challenging. As you know, some of you may have already applied to try to get a grant, and you have found out that it is really, really an arduous process, or it can be. In fact, today is one of those days where I am on a grant deadline myself. I have been at this for the last I think it's probably been about 14 days working on this grant that's roughly 5,500 words. So it's an electronic grant. And so you have very different types of submission formats, and one of them is electronically, and that's the one I'm working on. A lot of funders are moving towards those kinds of submissions. You know, it's the paperwork, it's all of the gathering of the documents, it's thinking of how you're going to present the various materials that you have, whether you have a program that's already established or a new one. Like this particular grant that I was working on, it's a new program from an existing organization that's been around for a long time, that's already gotten mega grants, but they want to extend or expand an area of their services. So it just depends on what it is that you are looking to achieve within your grants, but it can be a very challenging process, whether you're an existing organization or whether you're a new organization. So today we're going to talk about how to get grants that are over $50,000. So that has been my history. I have been in this industry of grant writing and nonprofit development management, organizational development for about 27 years now. And so I come to you with my expertise in giving you and sharing you all of the good, bad, and ugly of what I have done over the past 27 years. So why funders want to get you funded? They want to get you funded because they want you to be in line with either a national objective that they have. For example, if there's some sort of national catastrophe like Hurricane Katrina, or some sort of like, for example, right now we have a lot of unrest in the area of racial tensions and that sort of thing. You may have funders who have geographical interest in certain particular geographical locations to solve a particular issue or to research a particular issue that they are interested in finding out more about, and developing some sort of methodology on how to resolve something. So there's various ways in which you funders want to fund money, but primarily it's to meet a common goal. Okay, and so what is a mega grant proposal? Like I said earlier, a mega grant is anything that's going to be over $50,000. It's a persuasion of a presentation for the receipt of resources that are more than $50,000. $50,000 or better. So how did I win $10 million in grant funds? How was I able to do that? Well, there are 10 parts of every proposal. And I think the number one way in which I have been able to help my clients to get $10 million in grant funds is by following a specific method of applying for grant funds that cause the funder to grant the money. It's like a marriage proposal. In a marriage proposal, a guy courts a woman. He courts her for a period of time. He shows his best, puts his best foot forward. He does all the things that he thinks that she likes, and just, of course, hopefully he's being himself in doing that. But it's leading up to something. And after he finds somebody he really likes, he's trying to impress her. So it's the same thing. You find a funder that you like, you show them you put your best foot forward in writing, and then they say yes to your proposal. So the 10 parts of this proposal, or the summary of any grant, not just a mega grant, but any grant, is the summary of the organization's summary, which summarizes the whole entire proposal. Then the organizational history, which is going to talk about your, how you were established, why you were established, what you do, what your accomplishments have been in doing it, how many people help you do it, where do you do it, and why do you do it. And then you have your statement of need for the particular project in which you're asking for the money. So what is the reason why you want to ask them for the money? What's the problem? What's your problem statement? We want to ask for this money because there are, there's a growing number of, youth ages, young people, African American community between the ages of 19 and 25 who are developing HIV and AIDS. So we want to help resolve that problem. We want to go out. Here's a problem. 2-3 years ago, this problem was only, was barely an issue, and now it's an epidemic. And what we want to do is we want to provide, and that's your project description. You're going to describe what are we going to do to solve this problem. We are going to do some research. We're going to do some surveys. We're going to, go out into the community, do some outreach. We're going to, create an awareness around this issue, and then we're going to help young people to be a lot more focused on protecting themselves when they have intercourse and that kind of thing, whatever it is that you say you're going to do. Then the methodology, how are you going to do it? And I kind of explained a little bit of that in my project description, but the project description is very succinct. We will help 10 agencies in the community to create awareness to 200 young people between the ages of 19 and 25 by the end of such and such a period, or from the period of this period to this period. And then the method is how you're going to go about and do it. That would be the outreach, connecting or partnering with 10 agencies. That would be, having after school, roundtables or whatever it is. And then capacity. Who's going to help you do it? How are you going to get this done? Is it going to be your staff, and how many staff you have, volunteers, how many volunteers you have to get this effort fulfilled. Our capacity is also built in who our leaders are, what their experiences are, what their education is. All of that goes into capacity. Then you have your partnerships. So who are you going to partner with to get the work done? We are partnering with 10 local youth agencies or schools. We're going to partner with the schools. We're going to partner with community centers. We're going to partner with, basketball teams, whatever it is, football teams, sports teams, whatever. Evaluation. How will we know that we met our goals? We're going to evaluate because we're going to do surveys. We're going to, conduct a roundtable. We're going to have reports that we do each month to make sure we're on track for our goals. We're going to, talk to our stakeholders and see if there's something we can do. Talk to the participants who we're serving and see if they're, interested in adding another component. And then number 8 is sustainability. What happens after the funding is gone? How are you going to keep the program going without the funding that you're requesting? What are you going to do? Okay, after the 12th month of this project, we are then going to have a fundraiser, or we're going to, apply for some new funds, or we're going to, hopefully before the program ends, you will have had a plan or a strategy to sustain the program. And then your budget. How much is it going to cost you to do this? What are the expenses connected to it? And then you have your attachments. Many different types of attachment. Your board members, your staff members, sometimes your organizational chart, your budget, your organizational budget, your program budget. Your sometimes they ask for your 990, which is your agency's legal document that you file with the IRS. Then they have, they're going to ask you to prove that you're a 501c3 organization. They may ask you for, what else? A list of your donors, a list of your funders. There's many different attachments based on the funder. So there's 100 of them. But the number one thing you want to make sure that you have in place before you apply for a mega grant, you want to make sure that you have all the attachments that they're requesting. So you go through that application and you look thoroughly on what it is that they're requesting before you go and start applying for a grant. And then you realize that you don't even have all the necessary attachments, like 2 years of audited tax statements. If your organization doesn't have that, then you want to know, okay, what's the substitute to that? Is there a substitute to that? And am I eligible to apply without it? Okay, so the next is, the reality is that all funders, 50% of everyone who submits an application to a funder gets funded. So you have a 50-50 chance. So that can be good news and bad news. Who gets the big money? Let's talk about who gets those $1 million grants. I have worked for several clients that have gotten grants over $1 million. And those grants that they have gotten that were over $1 million, I would say the number one reason why they got grants that were over $1 million is because of their connections and also their capacity. So that, I would say, is one of the number one things. Financial capacity, staff capacity, partnership capacity, facility capacity, I guess trust capacity, credibility, history. So all of those are factors that are built into the decision-making process. Because if you're going to get a mega grant, in most cases you're going to need to have reserves to be able to manage that grant. And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for someone who's going to be able to run a program without worrying about if all of the money is issued to you at once. For example, a lot of mega grant agencies are federal funders. Federal agencies often have matching grants where you have to put up a large sum of money before you get the funds. Sometimes it's a $50,000 matching grant. So they'll give you 50 when you put up 50. So if you don't have 50, don't apply. That's the bottom line. Or it's a cost reimbursement grant. So you outlay the cost, and we give you the money back when you prove that you indeed did spend this amount of money. So if your monthly expenses to run the grant is $50,000 and you don't have $50,000, then you are not going to be a good candidate for this grant, because you need to be able to have an operating fund to be able to run the grant. the millions of dollars that I helped my clients get was specifically based on those two types of processes or scenarios. So those are often the types of grants that are going to be those huge, big grants. So this is just an overview of the grants that I was able to get. $2.9 million in the first year for homeless veterans, $3.2 million in the second year, which equaled $6.1 million for a community service agency that was funded for homeless veterans. That was the one I was just talking about. $537,060 for in-state government funds. This is an agency, one of my clients that was instrumental in helping them get over $537,000 for social services, life skills development, workforce development, that kind of thing. $75,000 for county government funds, an agency that I worked with, strengthening social services for low-income people, $75,000. And then $6.7 million for a combination of grants for community development agencies serving low-income people. So a lot of the grants that I have been able to get are serving low-income people, and they're usually human service grants. So just a quick federal mega funder list of people that you can tap into or look at their websites to see if they have grants available. The Department of Housing and Urban Development, I believe they have one going on right now for youth. Again, for youth, I think there is something around either youth HIV and AIDS or youth, something to do with youth. It's out right now. At the time that I'm doing this webinar, it is December 6th, 2016, and I believe the grant deadline is December 31st, 2016. So they have one out right now. The amount, I'm not sure. Department of Veterans Affairs, they have various different types of funds that they have available. They have funds for people who want to have houses, develop housing for disabled veterans. They have homeless veteran grants. They have all types of grants at the Department of Veterans Affairs. I don't know of any that are available right this moment, but you can always go on their website. Department of Human Services, lots and lots and lots of grants for children and youth, abuse, children and adults, research grants. All of that will be in the Department of Human Services. Then you have the Arts and Education, National Endowment for the Arts, Department of Education, Department of Agriculture. So you have children and youth are going to be huge in terms of homelessness, and children and youth are going to be huge in terms of, because people want those problems to be solved. Those are touch people's heartstrings. Foundations, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I was a participant of a tour on a project that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funded, which was in LA, and they wanted, of course, I think their mission is to have a computer in every home. And so one of their projects was in the inner city of LA. I believe it was in Compton, and we were able to tour this facility where they provided computers, a computer lab for an apartment complex that served low-income people. And so they had a whole computer lab that was inside that apartment complex for kids who don't have access to computers. So it was just a beautiful thing. So the Ford Foundation, Kaiser Foundation, Caffridge Foundation, Annie E. Casey Foundation, Harvard College typically does research grants, but there are other ones will do your human service grants. I know that the Caffridge Foundation is good for that. At Annie E. Casey, they do the individual development accounts. So different individual development accounts have to do with helping poor people obtain assets. So the 9 ways to get a mega grant funding is, number 1, increase your credibility. Increase your credibility by using the media to your best ability. You press releases, the news media, opportunities when you're doing, community service to engage the media, and that always helps to create credibility because people put a lot of stake in what they see in the news, what they see in the newspaper, and all of that. But credibility is also built by doing a good job you are serving your clients well, people are happy, your surveys have good responses and that sort of thing. I say number two, probably shouldn't be confident, but being confident just means, have faith that you can go out for a mega grant. I say that it would be difficult to get one on the first time, but you never know. So that's one thing. But also to get a mega grant, you want to make sure that you increase your knowledge in what it is that the funder wants, improve your agency operations. So you want to make sure you have great systems in place, that you already have certain things, available and ready for you when you apply for the grant, such as, your organizational budget. You have, hopefully you have an accountant that's working with you that's able to do that. You have a working active board. You have some, a list of donors, people who donate. You have, some systems that you use to run your programs and to measure your programs. You have reports in place. You have an active staff. You have a full-time executive director. You have some successes that you can talk about, that sort of thing. Number four, going where the big dogs are. You want to make sure that you go where the people who have the deep pockets are, going to their conferences, going to their workshops, being in the room with them, getting, in front of them, maybe serving on a committee, speaking in front of their audiences, those kinds of things. Getting politically connected is very important, because you want to know what it is that your local area is concerned about, so that you can develop programs that are around what the issues are and filling some of the gaps, the service gaps that are out there that need to be resolved. Knowing your numbers, know your demographics, know your programs, know who the population that you serve, what their needs are. Maybe you can have a focus group. Maybe you can have a community forum, or some sort of town hall meeting or something like that, or participate in one. Dominating your community, it goes back to the press releases and all that kind of stuff. But dominating your community, also just wherever the agency who has the money hot buttons are, you want to be in those circles. Have faith and never be afraid to ask for help. All right, those are the top ways. And then SMART. You want to, when you respond to your questions, you want to make sure you're specific, measurable, attainable, and relevant, and timely. So you're stating specifics about who you're going to serve, how many you're going to serve, showing how it's attainable. Why are you the one to resolve this issue? Is it relevant for the population you serve, and is it relevant for your agency? And then what is the time frame that you're going to finish it? And then what every proposal should include. Every proposal should show, why the project is needed, what you will do with the funds, how much is needed, a clear and concise project description, who in the community will you collaborate with, why are you the agency that should be funded, and how will you keep the project going after the funds are ended. So, and of course, I think I said what your budget is. I say, what your budget is. Obviously, yes, what is the budget? Okay, so those are the things that you would need to make sure that you include in your proposal. So now it's your turn to get funded. So hopefully you know that to get a mega grant, you have to have your stuff in. You really, 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 if I can't stress anything enough, you have got to have your stuff together. And what I mean by that is you should hire somebody who is skilled at proposal development. Or if it's not a program you're currently operating, you really, really need to sit down with your board and develop a really, really, really good project design, develop a project that makes sense, that fulfills a need. You also need to make sure that you have all of your systems in place, your administrative and accounting systems, financial systems in place, and that you have implemented best practices. You want to make sure that you have done what those who have gotten the funding that you want are doing. So look at who they're funding. Who are they funding? And why are they funding them? Never, ever, ever go out for a grant if you don't know who else they funded and how much they funded to them. Find out. You do your homework. When you're trying to get big money, you do your homework. No one's going to give big money to any agency that hasn't proven itself. That's just the bottom line. That's like Bill Gates walking out and throwing $1 million up in the air and says, okay, whoever wants this, you can have it. Nope, never going to happen. So so the next thing is you're probably saying, wait, Linda, I'm not a writer. I don't know how to write any grant, let alone a mega grant. I have no time to do this. I have no desire to write a mega grant. Or you're still saying, after you've talked for almost 30 minutes, I am still just about as clueless as I was when we started this webinar. If that is you, I have a solution for you. When you write a grant, the benefits of that is having a well-written grant. When you take off this, take off on the path to having a professional or hiring a professional or anything like that, you may want to just say, okay, I'm not going to do this, but I'm going to hire a professional. So you have a well-written grant by experienced writers. You'll keep your time free to continue to, do your regular work. You'll leverage the grant writer connections with funders, and you'll take the guesswork out of writing a grant. And it also gives you a good foundation for getting grants in the future. So that's what grant writing experts will do if you were to hire a grant writer. And there's just a few things that you should look for when you're looking to hire a grant writer. Is one, you should look for someone who's proven knowledgeable. They have good writing skills. You want to see if maybe you can get their writing samples, or maybe you can get something from them that shows that they have a track record of writing grants, because there's a difference. There's people who can write really good, and then there's people who have experience writing, managing, and obtaining grants that are large grants. Some people just write well, so they can follow instructions well. But there's a difference between following instructions well and knowing what the funder wants, because you've actually worked on a program that's been issued by that funder. So you have to look at their experience with not only writing grants, but managing grants, and also their track record. So those are some things that you want to look at. And then you also want to look at, their timeliness. You want to talk to their clients to see if, they've been happy, or just ask them, how many repeat clients do you have? How long have you had your clients? If a person, you're talking to a grant writer and they say, well, I've been working with, so-and-so for 12 months or more, then that's probably a pretty good time, because no one's going to keep working with a grant writer that has a poor history. So if they've had success with that grant writer, they're going to keep on hiring them. So look for grant writers that have that history. All right, and so today I'm going to tell you that typically a mega grant writer is going to charge you between $3,500 and $5,000. That's just the bottom line. Just to write, to design, to research, all of that, and that's perfectly a good price, because it's a very, very stressful process and takes many hours. The average grant to write, a regular grant, takes on average between 75 and 100 hours. But a mega grant takes anywhere from 200 to 300 hours to write. So it's a lot of time. And so today what I'm offering is my coaching packages. I'm giving you a special webinar, drop dead special. For today and today only, you can get a 55 minutes with me for a talk-through session where I will talk you through every aspect of the grant that you're thinking about applying for, whether it's a mega grant or not. $197 for a 1-hour coaching session that will really, really help you to get started on the right track, to make sure that you are grant ready, and also to determine what you need as you write this grant. And then option number 2 that we have is a beginner grant coaching, which is 2 one-on-one sessions where I walk you through everything in number 1. I walk you through the whole entire 9 steps that it takes to apply for any grant. And then also I go through telling you, giving you sample text, things that you need to, be concerned about, and then, answering the questions along the way, as well as, giving you homework assignments that's directly related to writing, let's say it's your program description or whatever, showing you what it is that you need to say for this particular type of grant. So that's option number 2 is specifically for someone who has an idea, or they're already operating a program, and but they've never gotten a grant before. And then grant growth coaching is 3 one-on-one partial hands-on sessions, and that's what we do, is we actually write it for you. We tell you everything in 1 and 2. We tell you what you need to do. We'll answer your questions, and plus we'll actually write the text for you and send it to you in an email that you can cut and paste and put it into the grant. And then ready for MegaGrant Professional. That's where we bring our 3 full team of people come out. We do hands-on with you. We actually will do most of the work, and you're sitting there with us, kind of dictating to us, and we're actually writing it for you. And so that requires a questionnaire before we determine if the price is $10.97. That's why there's an asterisk next to it, because it might be a little bit more depending on what you want, or it could be slightly less. So that's what I have to offer for you today. If you're interested in any of those packages, those are on my website. You can get the process started on my website. I have also a holiday special for $97.95. I think this one-on-one one is actually on sale for $97.95. So if you're interested in a 1-hour coaching session until after Christmas, you can get me for $97.95 for 1 hour. Okay, so how can you reach me? You can reach me today only. Packages are for today only until ends at 2:30. Today, to get started, just click the thank you link in the registration where you register for this webinar, or you can go to my website at Destiny Development Coaching Packages or Destiny Development Holiday Specials tab. Now, if you're on YouTube and you're hearing this webinar on YouTube, these specials are going on until December 26, 2016. So you can still get a coaching session for $97.95 for 1 hour about any grant that you're writing. And so you can go to the same place, you click the link, and it'll take you to, once you pay, it takes you to a questionnaire that you're going to answer some questions, and then that's for the mini grant application. So it's going to answer some questions. If you were to pay for that, that's $197 for the mini grant. It's a pre-written grant that we write for you. Or if you want the coaching session, you can click on the $97.95 1-hour coaching session. That's on the website. So thank you guys so much for joining, and I appreciate you, and I say happy grant writing to you. So if you want to contact us, here is our contact information and our email, my personal email address. So I'm not going to leave that there too long. So anyway, thank you so much, and I look forward to connecting with you, and have a great, great day.